Sveiki, savaitės pokalbio žiūrovai. Šį kartą mūsų laidoje yra vizituojantis profesorius iš Jungtinių Amerikos valstijų, Nebraskos universiteto Omahoje, profesorius Robertas Blairas, kuris ateinančias 2 savaitės Šiaulių universiteto studentams ir bendruomeniai skaitys pačias įvairiausias paskaitas apie viešąjį valdymą, susitiks su mūsų regiono viešojo valdymo profesionalais ir su juo kaip tik šiandien ir susitikome pakalbėti apie jo vizitą ir apie jo darbų sritis. Taigi aš tiesiog pereisiu prie anglų kalbos ir su profesorium pratęsime pokalbį. Hello, professor.
Yep.
Thank you for being with us.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
So you're a professor of public administration. Could you please tell us briefly about your life path in the sector of public administration and also about the circumstances which brought you into this field, both in the practical and academic levels?
Yeah, okay, I'd be happy to. First of all, it's my pleasure to be here again. This is my 3rd visit to Šiaulių, and it's like a second home for us. So it's very nice. It's been 5 years since we've been here, but we feel very comfortable. But,
yes.
About my background, many years ago, my career goals was to be a city manager. Mm-hmm. And city managers are people that aren't elected officials, but the administrators, the people who do the day-to-day technical sort of things in managing a community. And I got my master's degree and went right on to become a city manager at different levels. And then my career shifted a little bit. I did that for about 7-8 years. My career shifted a little bit into economic development and rural development. So I work with small communities and businesses in terms of attracting businesses and economic activity to basically rural, smaller communities. Did that for a number of years, and then somehow, and I'm not exactly sure, I began working with the university as sort of like a consultant when I was working for the state, and then began slowly to work on my PhD. And so I did not even start my PhD until I was almost 40 years old. And so I had 20 some years of experience, what we say, in the field, in the trenches, doing day-to-day sort of activities. And then gradually began to be more of a scholar and working in a number of areas. And then clearly my interest would be in city management. And then the last area is public policy, policy process. Just finished teaching a course in the theories of the policy process. And this is a doctoral level class. And so
okay, so you focus on understanding and practicing various ways of professional administration of our cities and towns. It may look like a simple question, but why it is important to have our public sector being governed professionally?
Okay, well that's a great question, and it's one that I think we wrestle with a lot. There are two dimensions to this question, in my opinion. One is that there is an absolute necessity to have elected officials, people who are democratically elected to represent the people. You know, how that's done is going to vary from country to country, but having somebody that has the responsibility for overseeing the thing and looking at the big picture, looking at policy issues, making decisions in the interest of the citizens, very, very important. That's not my area. Mine is on the other side. That's political science. Public administration is sort of, once the decision makers and policy makers come up with a plan, come up with a policy, it's got to be implemented. And typically it's technical issues, complicated issues, budget issues, allocation of resources, budgeting, finance, personnel management, organization development, organizational evaluation. That's public administration. That's the technical sort of aspects, and that's the area that I'm involved in. And people will ask me, they'll say, Professor Blair, you've been in this line of work, 40 years, 30 years as a full-time professor. What is it that you take the most pride in? I love the work that I've done and the research that I've published and the articles, but what I'm most proud of is the fact that many of my former students are managing communities. And I can still keep in touch with them.
Okay, so what do you call as a good governance of public sector? I mean, when can you say that this town or this city is being governed in high quality?
Okay, a couple of things when I come into and visit a community. I have sort of special lenses that I look at, and I think I look at first of all probably the infrastructure, the roads, the sewers, all of the network that supports a high quality of life. I think that's important. So that's the thing that I think the local government people do more than anything else is be sure that the basic services are provided. I tell people I think local government is the most important level of government around the world, because at that level people receive the most essential basic services: public safety, public protection, health and safety. Those are the parks, recreation, all those sorts of things that contribute to a high quality of life. And so I look at public spaces, I look at parks, and you can generally tell if it's well managed. And sometimes going into a coffee shop, having some coffee and tea, and just listening to people talk.
Okay. So this is the side of different bodies of public administration. And how about the community? What is the role of community?
Okay, yeah, it really is perfect. Yeah, another great way. It's a three-part thing in my opinion, and citizens need to be able to know that their elected officials represent their interests. They can go to them and provide input. The elected officials need to be transparent. They need to tell the people, these are the things we're doing, these are the plans, these are the activities that we are engaging in, and then the citizens need to have the confidence that they can go to the administrators and say, we've got a problem here, we need something that needs to be fixed, or the street's not in good shape, or we have some issues that we need to be addressed. So the citizens need to be able to connect to both parties. So there's a three-part sort of relationship, and if they're not, all three parts aren't strong.
Yes. Okay, so now conceptual question.
Yes.
In your personal opinion, how should the contemporary urban places, the cities and towns, look like so that they could be an attractive place for living and for raising the kids and for spending leisure time and so on? Okay,
now we're into my urban studies.
Yes.
Yeah, thank you. Get a chance to. Well, I think in the research that I've seen and participated in, I think livable neighborhoods, neighborhoods that are attractive, neighborhoods where people feel comfortable, where they interact with each other. So there's this feeling in a smaller area of the community, but at the same time. And Šiauliai has this, and this is something I love about Europe, is there's so many more public spaces where people can get together and interact, and plazas and nice parks and city squares. We don't seem to have as many of those in America as we should, and I think that's part of the culture. I think that the Europeans have that we can really learn a lot from, because. You like to get together and sip coffee and visit and then relax and kind of watch the world go by. That's something that we learned when we started coming over here: is relax, have a cup of tea, have a cup of coffee, you know, and so you have places for that. Your pedestrian mall. We have not been there yet. I've been there many times. That's nice. That pedestrian is gorgeous. You've got parks in it. Those are the sort of things I think that help contribute and are attractive to people, and institutions like the university. It's a beautiful library. I mean, when we walked by last night, I saw a number of older citizens people my age that were coming out. So clearly they were not students, but they were doing something in the library here. So this isn't just for students. It looks like there's some activities, and I know you have some museums and some exhibits. This is a public space. Those things are nice.
You mentioned this is your third time in Šiauliai.
Yes.
So you're going to have some lectures for the students of our university?
Yes.
What is your main message you're going to tell our students about public administration and urban studies?
I think from the level of my experience in local government management, I will encourage the young people in particular to think about careers in the public sector, to think about the value of local government. I think local government is where all of the exciting things take place. Not at the national level, which is fine. People want to work in Vilnius or Washington, D.C. Have fun. Where the really interesting things take place and where the changes take place and how you can affect people's lives is at this level, is at the local level. And my guess is that young people in Lithuania are like young people in America and young people in other countries. Public sector careers is really not number one on the list. Most of them want to go into business and business development, want to start their own business, which is fine. I work for NGOs, but my whole life has been in the public sector, and I don't regret a single minute of the time that I spent in there. So that's a message. I find myself talking to young people, and I do what I get on a soapbox. I don't know if that means. I get on a box, stand up, and I start to say, you should do this, you should do that. And I find myself, being on the soapbox. But I tend to do that, I guess, at my age. But that's the message, I think. Investigate a career in the public sector, in particular local government, and then getting an education in public administration, I think, is a great foundation. And then I think that would be a message that should resonate wherever I talk.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that's something.
And also
young people here, like young people in America, they're not different.
Okay, and also you're going to have some meetings with the administrators and practitioners in the municipality. What are the suggestions and advices you're going to give them?
Okay, well, I back to my affiliation with the International City Management Association. I will encourage the administrators to think about affiliating, and I know there are organizations of local government managers in Lithuania, and I would say think about affiliating with this international. I mean, it's not just American, it's not just Canadian, it is a worldwide organization, and they provide support and technical assistance around the world to local government administrators. And I would really love to see at some point in time that there's an affiliate organization from Lithuania that's part of ICMA, International City Management Association. I go to their meetings. It's an amazing experience. 3,000 people that are local government administrators, 3,000 to 4,000 people from local government administrators from around the world interacting. It's energizing, and so if we can get people to go there, yes, that would be. And there actually is a European contingent, and I've sat in with some of the meetings, European city managers. So that's I'm going to try to get them to think about that. Yes, I'm not sure if they're aware of ICMA, but that's only one of the messages. So
okay. Professor, thank you very much for your answers. And I'm going to announce now a couple of your events where community members of our university could participate in. Taigi, jeigu jūs sudomino profesoriaus darbai ir mintis, kviečiame jūs apsilankyti viešoje diskusijoje gegužės 15 dieną, kuri vyks Šiaulių miesto savivaldybėje, ir profesorius ten kalbės apie gerus miesto valdymo būdus. Taip pat Šiaulių universitete gegužės 16 dieną bus profesoriaus seminaras anglų kalba tyrėjams, vadybos ir ekonomikos krypties doktorantams ir magistrantams, kuris taip pat yra viešas ir labai kviečiame jį apsilankyti. Thank you once more.
You're welcome. My pleasure.
Have a nice time in Lithuania.
I will. I know I will. Thank you very much for